Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I figured I would do a video this morning. I had the vote on the open. I was just kind of throwing out some fib numbers out there. Yeah, can it open at 293 or 318 or somewhere in that level? That's where we need to get to continue the run. So let me go over what we have here in my view. There's a lot of people like going $2 and two and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow. Well, I did show you guys how 268 is a big number. And then you can see here, if you snap a line, excuse me, I don't know if I'm getting a cold. Snap a line here from this last zone. Look at that, right? We haven't lost any support. So I don't know why people be saying we're going that much lower. We based all night at that 268, that pivot, the major pivot. So for me, you've got this is a 15-minute chart, by the way. You've got a head and shoulders here. And then you've got even a higher shoulder and a higher shoulder. And you've got the MACD on the 15-minute. I'm just using this because it's kind of a short-term move here that we just, this chart showed it the best. So yeah, you've got, so you can see you've held that pivot, 267, and then pre-market you're holding 267. And then, you know, if you put this pivot up here, well, it's already there, right? So you just see that low pivot here, 267. And you can see the fib here. We held 261 yesterday. We started moving up to test 277. We got to 274. We didn't cross it, but we're right in here. We hit the 618 two times and then pulled back. So the third time would be the breakout, right? Just like here, we hit two times. We were going to break out, but then we got diluted. So to me, 3 consecutive hits, and especially Pierce's in a row, is breakout. So the MACD's turning up. You know, you could say it's trended down here. Oops. Oh. Yeah. You could say it's trended down here, and it's found bottom, and it's kind of falling wedge, triangle, whatever. It is green, it is positive. And then if you look at the overall picture, and this is what's most important. You have there's head and shoulders everywhere, guys, and they're all bullish. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you could say here was a head and shoulders, right? And then we did the same thing. We kind of hit once, twice, then broke out and ran. You could say here was a head and shoulders, right? You could say, what do? We hit it once, we hit it twice, and then we broke out and ran. So what's the difference really between this head and shoulders that broke out and ran, this head and shoulders that broke out and ran, and this head and shoulder that's turning around as we speak? It came and hit a fib low of 261, and it just needs to recapture 277, and then 293 is where it's had trouble. I don't know why people are saying 305 and all that. No, it's been right at 293. And if you go back to May of 2024, 291, 293 area is right where the stock took off to 12. Right when it passed that area, it launched to 12. So no wonder once you, if you jump on that same roller coaster of 2024, as soon as you officially pass this, you're going straight up. If history is any guide, right? Plus you have, I drew this channel, and this is how I track. I'll do my inverted head and shoulder. The first target on this last inverted head and shoulders is 531. If you do the major inverted head and shoulders, from the low, the total target is 840 to 930 area, right? So if you take it from the bottom, and then this is actually a shoulder, but it's a mini, it's an inverted head and shoulders on the small time frame, but on the large time frame, this is just a shoulder. And then this is our neckline, right around 287, 293. And when we break that, we can trigger at least this 5 plus. If not, the 8 to 9 plus, right? On the big head and shoulders is one that started from way back, right? So anyway, that's my story. And let's go to a 1 hour chart. That should show the bigger head and shoulders. And yeah, you would have this particular head and shoulders. Let's take all those drawings off. Oops. And let's go to the bigger. Yeah, I just don't understand. You know, a lot of people, they like to say comments, but they just don't. I'm like, well, where do you get that from, right? Where do you get that from? So yeah, if you drew that line here across all head and shoulders, right? Let's grab this trend line. All current head and shoulders, you'd have a pivot about here, right? And then you'd have your head and shoulders, or your bold reversal, or whatever. You'd have your head here. Fix that. See, that's your head. You'd have your shoulder, your upper shoulder, which you just made not too long ago, right here. We've already played out this one. You had this one, right? These match, right? But now you have this upper one that you're doing now. So you came down here, just like you're doing the inverse of this. This fell, made a lower high, and then kept going. Well, now we're doing that. We ran up, made a higher low, and then we're going, right? So now we're here. So, and then you have a head and shoulders. Now the price target of this one, and then there's little head and shoulders, and then big head and shoulders. So they all match. There's not any question, right? It's not like, okay, and they've played out, you know. This played out in a smaller degree. The first head and shoulders was this one, and it already played out here. They hit price target, and then it made a secondary high. So then it says, okay, if you break that, you do another leg up on the same head and shoulder. You know, head and shoulders expand once they hit their first target, and if they pull back and make a, you know, and then they show like another shoulder, then they can expand. So this one's ready to expand. It's played out once. So it's confirmed as a pattern. Now when you take this measurement, this is where you get your kind of your 930 target. And that's just normal business. 930. We're going somewhere between 5 to 930, just based on head and shoulder, right? The little one, when maybe we go up to 5, take a little pullback, and then go up to 9. I mean, this whole thing, when it triggers right here at 294, you're going to 5 to 9 in my book. There's no doubt about it. So that's just the way I see things. Just technically, I don't know if people are putting like emotional responses. I just don't see the technical. There is nothing that says 220 to me. So let's look at just the overall trend pattern. So I do this thing called draw a channel, right? And then, so if you look at this channel I drew, I like to honor the trend lines and just see what's going on. So we haven't really run. This is kind of a coiling look. You could say this was a run and then a back test, and this was a run and a back test. So you could say we did wave 1, 2, 3, 4, but we need our fifth wave, right? Because all rallies have 5 waves, right? And then you could say we just did a minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave run, like a mini 5 wave, and we had an ABC pullback right into this trend line. See how that's a trend line? See how I expanded that trend line to our first bottoming trend line? See that? So to conclude this phase of AMC, to me, it's a loop. It's like a closed loop, right? Like a circuit. To complete the circuit, you would have to come and tag this top trend line, right? So this top trend line currently sits, guess where? Right at the COVID lows, right around 1070 to, so if we hit this top trend line today, it would be right around 1098, right? So when you came down here and made this, you kind of pierced this channel here, and then you made the all-time low, and then you ran up and you tagged the channel, and you rejected, and then you made another high, and then see the center line, how you honored that? And then you hit the lower trend line of this parallel channel. You hit that lower trend line, and then you kind of false broke it, right there on earnings, right before earnings. You false broke it, and then you gapped up. So then you hit it here, and you ran. And then yesterday, all we did is hit that trend line. So yeah, I mean, it's pointed straight up, guys. I mean, how? So let's see us hold 261, and let's just watch this live for a minute. Let's hope to hold 261, which is the fib right here on the open, and then reverse, right? So, ow, the bell ring in my ear is very loud. So we're looking at the fib here, 261. So see the trading, it's 266. And I'm watching over here. Let me bring this trading over here to my left. Bring this one in so you can see that. See, that's my trend line here on this as well. 261 is kind of, so you made this low, you did like this ABC correction, and then you make a higher low, right? 261, and then you take off. You get through that 277 next, right? That makes sense? And then you go for 293, which has been the big problem, but then that's the launch point of the 2024 rally. So then you take your launch point up to 11-ish. Right? Isn't it that simple? So, yeah, look at it. See it? Beautiful bar there on the open. 268. Oh, dang. What are they doing to beyond today? Anyway, it went to 67 overnight, and then it's probably coming back to test this sort of 62 area. Yeah, so for beyond, see that? You're testing this 62 area. It did a big run, nice slam down, and then, yeah, nice pullback this morning. And, yeah, it should reverse somewhere around this area. Your low pivot would be 59, but it's volatile beyond, right? So the high pivot here is right around 62. So I'd like to see it close around 62 or better on beyond. And then AMC should be taking off here, guys. Watch, we held our 261 right there on the open. And then you just need to get over 277 next. So should be ramping up here, guys. 268 or 261 was just my parabola line on the weekly, and it's this lower trend line. We need to test the upper trend line on this chart for our rally, and then we'll probably false break that upper trend line, and I'll sell somewhere above there, above 11. Could we break all the way to 18? Yeah. Could we break to 21? Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. First things first, let's get over the center trend line at 550. And you can see what's going on, right? You can see the MACD turning on this. You can see us going over 270. Yeah, our first test is 277, guys. Yeah, I was just really surprised to see all the bearish stuff. So I decided to make a video to follow the open and go over it, right? So yeah, here we are at 270, guys. So right here, 277 is our first test. You cross that, it's 293, which we've already tested. We've already tried to break this once, twice. We're going to blow through it. So then your natural target is 352. Your 618 is 474. But that first head and shoulders, what I'll be watching is the center trend line. And it also fits perfectly with that tiny head and shoulders around 534 to 542. I'll be watching this later. Probably 550 is probably everybody's gonna, oh, 550 is a huge number. Or, yeah, and then if it gets through that, which is probably squeezing by then because my parabolic line is steepening a lot there, then you're looking at this top line, 1131, and then maybe it just false breaks that and goes squeezes pretty good is what I expect. But yeah, anything under 550 or 1131, it's not going to get my attention. And there you go, guys. That was the open. Yeah, I was surprised. Like so many people were like $2, 220, two. No, this is your squeeze line, by the way, guys. This is your squeeze line. Over here, when you first hit this, bears knew they could take you sideways. You hit this, bears knew they could take you down. But then after they saw this, you hit this, you rallied. You hit this, you gapped up. You hit this, you're right here. There's no more room to play around. We're not going to lose this line, guys. We're not going to lose this line. And yeah, you're going to hit this line next. You've held this 1, 2, 3, 4 times. You're going to hit this line next, the top trend line. So anyway, guys, yeah, we're 271 now. I expect, rally straight up today. So we'll see. 550 is my first to keep an eye out on that zone. If it blows through that, then it's 11s. If it false breaks that, it's squeeze.